Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Emilokan and Sons Nigerian Limited by Bolaji O. Akinyemi. Can you imagine? Bolaji has written, I know that with this story of, Tinubu taking his two sons as part of his entourage to Qatar and presenting his two sons to the Qatari government, even before the official ministers of Nigeria, Federal Republic of Nigeria that went with him, has been raising dust. And people like Ruben Abati and co have held their view that that is actually unacceptable. Okay, so it is getting obvious that the federal government now is a government of the family, by the family, and for the family. It's now a family business. And so one of the Yorubas has written here that now Nigerian government is Emilokan and Sons Nigeria Limited. This is serious. The overbearing influence of Sheyi Tinubu over state affairs was first noticed prior to the Lekki toll gate massacre of Nigerian youths who were out on a peaceful protest against police brutality. Sheyi's company is alleged to hold the monopoly of right to the lighting and the camera system at the facility, though his role or of the company was hidden from the prying eyes of the public, but its effect set the stage for what will become the worst state onslaught against peaceful and unarmed civilians in human history. They set the stage for what was to follow by switching off the lights before the military opened fire on the citizens, sending countless to early grave. Till date, lack of public transparency still trail the tragedy. The President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at that time was Muhammadu Buhari, who by implication is responsible for ordering the shoot at sight of the peaceful protesters. So the worst human puppet in the history of national leadership. Okay, once you can find a narrative to appeal to his ego, you have pulled the string to get the puppet to dance to your sound. Buhari will later confess what the narrative that got the order out was. The young people want to overthrow my government. That was it. So who pulled the string on the president? Though unseen, she and father's hands can't be excused from the death at the toll gate, while the yoke remains Buhari's burden to bear. Truth has never been buried successfully. If time doesn't reveal it, characters will. I love that. So our king had hardly been crowned when the first son of the pastor, Remi Tinubu, for the president, Oluwaseyi Fumi Tinubu, the crown prince of Lagos State and the Oluomo of Nigeria, showed us their family's mission to power. So he showed up in the chamber of the State House, pacing up and down needlessly during the Federal Executive Council meeting. So the rudeness of this conduct, not even his father could keep his pretense off. He was forced, as it looks now, against his will, to openly rebuke his son. She, according to Mr. President, has no business being in the chamber during the National Executive Council meeting. Please, what business then does he have to be on the entourage to Qatar? Exactly. So if he has no business coming to the Federal Executive Council chambers during the meetings, he also has no business joining the presidential entourage to Qatar on a state visit, because those two children are never ministers or they don't hold any portfolio in the government office. So Tinubu said he will cut the cost of governance by limiting his entourage on foreign trips to 20 persons after the national outcry that greeted the trip to the COP28 United Nations Climate Change Conference in Dubai. So the United Arab Emirates, where over 1,400 delegates were alleged to have made the trip, and about 590 of them were sponsored by the government at an alleged cost of 885 million naira of the taxpayers. So Emilokan seems to be clearly defined: Emilokan and Sons Nigeria Limited. So the entourage to Qatar included 3 members of the Tinubu's immediate and extended family, 35 members of the main body who arrived in 2 separate jets, and an advance team estimated at 40 persons who also flew in a separate jet. So in all, 3 jets from the presidential fleet landed in Qatar with about 70 persons, excluding flight crew of 15 persons for 3 aircraft. So this president is a lost to advice. He has successfully surrounded himself with yes men, sycophants, and hypocrites. No man of conscience should spare Tinubu and Sons on this. So I read a friend of mine who is an APC chieftain on the WhatsApp platform of my media friends, and I was sorry for the president and his family. He wrote, "This eyesore and hideous incident is another low for Tinubu as a leader. I was appalled and disgusted because this is coming when Nigerians are in pain, despair, hungry and angry about how they are being governed. So one can just imagine how the Qatari officials will be thinking when the president's sons, who are not government officials or known investors, could be there to talk less talk less of being introduced before the Minister of the Foreign Affairs. I wish one could hear how Tinubu introduced his 2 sons. Would he say, meet Oluwaseyi Fumi Tinubu, my son, the first son of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And again, this is Oluwanyenka Tinubu, the second son of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm just wondering what will be going through the mind of the Qataris. This is impunity taken to the highest level. It is highly provocative and nauseating. It is disrespectful to all Nigerians. Tinubu is democratically elected as president and not as a king in a monarchical country. It is high time people who are close to this president talks some senses into his head. He should cease from insulting and disrespecting us. There is a thick cloud over this country. No one knows the straw that will break the camel's back. If my friend was angry with the president and his sons, I would not. My anger is with men who failed to lift up their heads when it matters, led by the honorables. Can we in all honesty still retain any honor for men who couldn't stand up for their own honor? This piece is very long. So this guy has actually written so much about the behavior of Tinubu and his family in the State House. So Tinubu has exceeded Buhari's in nepotism with the appointment of his son-in-law as DG Federal Housing Authority, his brother as a minister. Now his sons were presented to the world as the most senior officials from Nigeria after their father, even though they were banned from attending Federal Executive Council meeting. A pity if Nigerians can't see this Emilokan and Sons coming and rise against it. This is Dr. Bolaji Akinyemi. He's an apostle and nation builder. He is also president voice of his world ministries and convener Apostolic Roundtable. So this guy must be somebody that is in the religious sector as well. But it's quite unfortunate that we're in that situation. That is what Nigeria has turned to be. And some of the fools, as always, will defend their oppressor. They will continue to bulala you idiots for 100 naira loaf of bread, since your senses have already been captured and permanently made slaves. On our suffering just the start. It's not useless write-up. Somebody say useless write-up. This is not useless write-up, okay? Some say, what an excellent write-up. Yes, though some of his slaves didn't see anything bad in all this misuse or abuse of public office due to tribal sentiments or lack of ability to think straight. No wonder our leaders always live extravagant lifestyle at the expense of the suffering masses. What a sleeping nation. It is indeed. Tinubu O'Neill Lubawi, trait of dictatorship. Not be lie. Not be lie. So as if you don't know how Tinubu got to the office of the president. Did Tinubu win the last year presidential election, or are you for or against Nigeria? That's the question. Such a shame of a country, that is what it is. Truly, it is their family turn to feed fat on Nigerians' wealth. Please continue to speak out. It was a national mess. We are in a mess, and that is the truth. We are in the worst of mess. We thought we had seen it all during Buhari time, but now we know that we had not seen it all. Thank you for listening, and let's have your comments.